Welcome to today's video, where we'll delve into the dietary habits of Golden Era bodybuilders. Their approach to nutrition markedly contrasts with the practices of modern bodybuilders. Back then, the focus was on achieving a V-taper physique, a goal epitomized by Arnold Schwarzenegger and other bodybuilders of the Golden Era. These bodybuilders adhered to a diet rich in protein and fats, yet low in carbohydrates. This regimen was the norm, and judging by the impressive physiques from that period, it was clearly effective. Arnold revealed that he consumed approximately 250 grams of protein daily, roughly 1 gram per pound of body weight, a common standard among bodybuilders of his era.
The primary difference between the diets of Golden Era bodybuilders and those of modern-day athletes lies in carbohydrate consumption. Today's top bodybuilders incorporate significant amounts of carbs into their diets, relying on rice, potatoes, and other carb-rich foods to fuel their training and muscle growth. In contrast, Golden Era bodybuilders minimize their carb intake, seldom incorporating foods like rice and potatoes into their daily meals. Despite this low-carb approach, they were still able to train with high intensity and effectively build muscle, demonstrating the effectiveness of their dietary regimen in achieving their bodybuilding goals. Rick Drassen shed light on the diet of the Golden Era bodybuilders, including himself and Arnold Schwarzenegger, highlighting a nutritional regimen rich in beef, eggs, and cottage cheese, with a very limited intake of carbohydrates. However, Sundays broke the mold as junk days, when these athletes would indulge in whatever they craved, from pizzas and cookies to ice cream, allowing for a weekly break from their disciplined eating habits.
Many of you asked, it's impossible to train and get big on the amount of carbs that we were taking in. Well, no, it's not. We would take protein in at least 5 times a day. And it would be comprised of, let's say for example, breakfast would be a hamburger patty and eggs, or hamburger patty, eggs, and cottage cheese, or maybe a turkey patty and eggs and cottage cheese, and maybe a small protein drink. Then it would be to the gym, then we'd train. If I got done early enough, there'd be another little protein drink, but I'd mix it with water. If not, I'd go directly to lunch. And usually Arnold and I would go, and a few guys, and we go to Zucchi's Delicatessen on 5th and Wilshire, which is our hangout, and we get a cheese omelet with cottage cheese and maybe a burger patty to match. There were several restaurants in the area that we picked from that catered to our diet, that would cook what we wanted. There was one called the Java Time that made us a really big burger patty. It was a ½ pound with cottage cheese and sliced tomatoes. That's a pretty good amount of protein. So that would be our diet, breakfast and lunch, and then of course mid-afternoon would be a protein drink, and I'd mix it with water, maybe have a banana, something like that in it. If I didn't have that, it would also always be a can of tuna, because tuna had a really good source of protein, and you don't get fat off tuna anyway. And then later in the evening would be steak and eggs, or steak and cottage cheese and a salad, and then of course at bedtime would be a protein drink.
Golden Era bodybuilders had a distinctly different approach to dietary fats compared to many of today's athletes. They regularly consumed whole eggs instead of favoring egg whites, a common practice among modern bodybuilders aiming to reduce fat intake. Additionally, their diets frequently included significant amounts of red meat, contrasting with the modern preference for leaner proteins like chicken and fish. The primary goal for bodybuilders of the Golden Era was to consume enough protein to promote muscle growth while limiting carbohydrate intake. This strategy was aimed at achieving the iconic V-taper shape, which was highly prized for its aesthetic appeal. Since the 1970s, the focus in bodybuilding has shifted. While the Golden Era celebrated an aesthetically pleasing physique characterized by symmetry in the V-taper, contemporary bodybuilding often emphasizes sheer size over aesthetics. This evolution reflects a change in priorities within the sport, with current practices focusing more on achieving maximal size rather than maintaining the classical aesthetics that once defined the discipline.
We ate steaks all year round, at least 4 or 5 of them at a time.
Okay, and as far as grams of protein, did you measure your grams like one gram per pound of body weight?
None of that kind of madness was going on.
It didn't matter, did it? It didn't matter.
It didn't matter. We just ate.
Golden Era bodybuilders kept their nutrition simple, focusing on getting enough protein from red meat, eggs, cottage cheese, and protein shakes without counting calories. This straightforward approach highlights the lifestyle's simplicity, though it still required significant dedication. Many of them trained twice daily, emphasizing their commitment to maintaining peak physical condition. Despite the lack of modern tracking tools, their disciplined diet and rigorous training regimen effectively shaped their iconic physiques.
And Sunday would be the junk day. Sunday, anything goes. Now, there's a lot of guys that eat 2 or 3 pizzas, chocolate cakes, cookies, you name it. Everything they can get their hands on.
Sundays were designated cheat days for Golden Era bodybuilders, a time when they allowed themselves to indulge in any food they craved, in any quantity. Their cheat day menu often included pizzas, pasta, ice cream, cakes, and more, offering a break from their strict weekly diet and satisfying their cravings. So there you have it. To eat like the legends of the sport, the Golden Era bodybuilders, the approach is simple. Follow a diet rich in red meats, protein drinks, cottage cheese, and eggs, while keeping carb intake to a minimum. Thanks for watching the video.